being able to use this tool to answer that question, I mean, it was basically like somebody had just dropped a gold bar into our laps and said, here you go.
You're listening to the Endless Customers podcast, brought to you by the team at Impact. Endless Customers is the proven system to become the most known and trusted brand in your market. If you want to start to learn the principles of Endless Customers and how you can implement them in your business, pick up a copy of Endless Customers, a national bestseller wherever books are sold. Ready to start implementing Endless Customers in your business? Talk to Impact about how our coaching program can help you implement Endless Customers to success. And if you want to experience Endless Customers in person, do not miss our upcoming conference, Endless Customers Live, in Chicago, March 30th through April 1st, 2026. Registration is now open. And now, onto the show. Here's your host, Alex Winter.
Whether we like it or not, buyers are trying to figure out costs long before they ever talk to your team. And when we don't give them those answers, they go somewhere else to find them. Today's episode is about what happens when you stop hiding from pricing and start answering the questions every single buyer already has. We're joined by Adam Martin. He's the media director at Hoel Roofing to talk about a tool his team recently launched. It's an instant estimator that gives buyers real pricing insights before they ever pick up the phone. And early on, it's already changing the way people engage, how they qualify themselves, and how they enter the sales process. In this conversation, we're going to break down why they built it, what it took to make the pricing work, what they're seeing so far from a results standpoint, and what this means for any business trying to build trust and move buyers forward. Adam, welcome to the show.
Alex, it's great to be here.
It is great to have you back. I'm wicked excited to be talking to you today because you've had a lot of great advancements and things that have been happening with your journey with Endless Customers, and I can't wait to dive into that and for everyone to hear all about it. But before we do, just in case people maybe missed your last episode, which if you have missed it, you got to go check it out. It's really great. Can you let people know who you are and a little bit about Hoel Roofing?
Yeah. So I'm Adam Martin. I am the media director here at Hoel Roofing and Remodeling. We're based out of Rushville, Indiana. And if you have no idea where that is, that's fine. We are basically almost halfway between Indianapolis and Cincinnati, give or take a little bit closer to the Indianapolis side. But we do home remodeling. So our bread and butter is the roofing, siding, and gutters. We also do doors and windows and all that other stuff too, interior remodeling. But yeah, every day we're out there putting roofs on for neighbors all around within that hour-ish from our office. So
yeah, and you direct all the marketing and content that's coming out of Hoel Roofing. Is that right? You run the team over there?
I do. Any of the social media you see, most of the ads that we run at least come through me, if not, run through one of our, partner agencies or whoever else. But yeah, I am the head of marketing. Basically anything aside from the content on the website is written by my partner, Toyosi, that is our content writer, that Impact help us to find.
Excellent. I love hearing that. Well, so let's kick things off. I have a question here, and I think this is a good one just to start the conversation for everybody. Let's talk about your sales process a little bit. And what made you start to think about implementing an estimator? And when did you do it? What made the decision happen? And how has it been working out for you since implementation?
So I'm going to age myself a little bit here, Alex. Yes, I'm only, 28, like that. But I have been here, not entirely always doing what I'm doing now as media director, but I've been here at Hoel Roofing for almost 4.5 years now, give or take. This November will be 5 years for me. Back when I first got started with everything, we were just kind of doing things, doing everything the best that we could to reach, the people that we knew. Like Bob and Emily really started everything when they started the business based off of word of mouth and referral. And that's done really, really well for us, for the time that we ran for the first, few years. Because the business also has existed for going on, is it 9? It's either 9 or 10 years this year, but it's one of the two. Like we've already beaten most other roofing companies, for the survival rate for that. Wow. But for when I first got started with Hoel Roofing, really what we were running into is we were getting out into, the local neighborhoods. We were getting out, we were reaching people that, that word of mouth was doing really, really well. However, where we were really noticing that there was a fall off was when people would call in and, have questions for us, for the office, for, whoever was answering the phone, that day. The question would be like, well, what's it going to cost? And our standard answer at that point was just, well, I don't really do estimating, but I can have one of our sales guys come out and they can give you, take a look at everything, give you an estimate. And that was the best answer that we could give them. And with some people, they were like, well, I don't know. I'm really not sure if it's what I want or, how soon I want to do it. So thank you, but no thank you. And we wouldn't get any information from them and they wouldn't turn into a lead. So really the fact that we kept getting that over and over and over, continuing on, through the last couple of years, people just kept saying like, I don't know. I just want to know what it costs. I just want to know what it costs. It was like, okay, we need to answer that question directly to them. If people are going to keep asking it, we need to answer that question. So
good on you guys
honestly,
for, well, and just to interject, good on you guys for noticing that, because it sounds like a problem, but it really is an opportunity, because if you keep hearing that over and over and you're missing business because of it, that could be opportunities. You have to take note of it. You can't ostrich and bury your head in the sand. You got to go, all right, how do we fix this? Because there could be a lot more business on the table if we could just answer this question in a meaningful way, or at least meet people where they are and build some trust.
Well, and that question is one of the ones that scares, especially people in our industry the most, because it's like, okay, do we tell them what it costs, or do we just say, well, here's what it'll cost you, like it's really, it's that same thing that we've learned from working with you guys at Impact, for the entire period that we've been working with you, is just like, if we're going to do what it takes to become the most known and trusted roofer in our area, what does that look like for us? And so we really sat down and asked ourselves that question, right? It was right about the time that we were getting started working with you guys early last year, I want to say. And that was one of the questions that came up so often that we were really wrestling with, trying to figure out, okay, how do we best set up so that we can answer that question for people, and especially, how do we do that so that people can just get the answer if they want it themselves, that we don't necessarily even have to give it to them. And I believe it was actually at Impact Live in Chicago last year. I want to say it was February or March of last. It was early last year. I'll say that much. Marcus, I believe, came on stage and did a presentation specifically about Price Guide, the priceguide.ai, platform with everything. And I think there was a moment where, because it was myself, our sales manager, Chris, and Bob, owner of the business, who went to Impact Live that day. And we were sitting at the table together as Marcus was talking about it. And, we were taking our notes and everything. And in the break right after that talk, I'm pretty sure there was a moment where we all kind of looked at each other and went, we need this. Being able to use this tool to answer that question, I mean, it was basically like somebody had just dropped a gold bar into our laps and said, here you go, this will solve your problems. Just take this, and I'm not going to say it was the easiest thing to figure out because, like I said, nobody likes talking about their pricing one way or the other. And it did take us a while to get it all figured out. But for the first maybe year that we had it, we just had a simple, like roofing estimator basically on it. I think it started as a metal roofing estimator and then it turned into a shingle roofing estimator because of the number of people that were, more interested in either or. But when we first put it on the website, we got a little bit of feedback on it, and improved it a little bit. And then we changed it to the shingle estimator and we got even more feedback on it and it was good. But I know what you want to talk about now is the new and improved update that we just did, that we launched at the end of February, because that was an undertaking.
Yeah, it was an undertaking. Well, listen, there is a sticker shock to your industry. Roofs are expensive. Anyone who is a homeowner who has had to go through the process of roofing or fixing the roof on their house, it can be costly. But you
Oh, yeah.
also as a consumer have to be really careful with who you work with, because if you're going to spend the money, sometimes people try to cut corners or save a buck, and in my experiences, that doesn't usually save you money in the long run. If anything, it ends up hurting you, and you have to spend more money to fix the things that you thought you were saving on. So it's really important to build that awareness, and that's why a tool like an estimator, even though it might have been hard to implement or a little scary, it's so important and it's so critical to get people excited, or at least aware and knowledgeable of what they're getting into. And that's the best way to build trust, I think. So good on you guys for doing it. So tell me about this new iteration. You started out metal roofing, you turned it to shingles. What happened in February and this new evolution of it? I can't wait to hear the story. I'm excited.
So one of the ways that the question evolved, instead of just like, well, what's that going to cost me? We started seeing that question turn into more of a, like, what do you guys offer? Like, people went from not being so sure of like what it would cost for their project to the question became more of like, well, do you guys do this? And the more I looked at the price guide tool, the more that I was actually impressed, because it was set up so that all I had to do was, rework it a little bit. But if you look at our website now, hoelrr.com, if you want to check it out, shameless plug right there.
Absolutely.
And you go to the instant estimator. There's bright yellow buttons everywhere, that say get an instant estimate, with all that. The very first thing that you'll see where the instant estimator is on the website is a layout that has, I'm not going to say every single service, that we offer, but all of the major services that we offer. You'll see, metal roofing, shingle roofing, siding, gutters, and I believe right now there's windows on it as well too. Soon there will be exterior doors on it as well too. But we just got a new tool from Provia that we haven't actually been able to dig into yet to get that pricing in correctly. So coming soon, it will be updated. But where before it was just, if you had a shingle roof, here, this tool's for you. Now it's for anybody who comes to the website who's interested in any of our services. Here's what we have to, for you to instantly get a range of this is what it will cost for my home based off just a little bit of information that, about your home. So I have it set up so that you can select any or all of the services that we offer. So, if you're interested in a shingle roof and a metal roof, you select both. It'll walk you through both parts and it'll give you an estimate for both, and it'll give you the total estimate of both of them together. Or if you're interested in, you just want a shingle roof, but you also want new gutters, but you're also kind of interested in siding down the road, you can click all three, and it will also give you, like I said, the individual pricing for each one of those and what it'll cost for the entire project altogether as a range. And not only that, but within each of those tools too, for example, for gutters, because it's probably the clearest one for us, we only do one kind of gutters, 6-inch gutters that we, they're seamless. We run them out of a trailer, to the length of the gutter run that needs done. So the only seams in the gutters are where the gutters have to turn, literally, or where the downspouts come out, technically. But if you click on gutters, you tell us, roughly how many linear feet of gutters you need. And that's really easy to figure out, if the general dimensions of your house, say your house is a square and it's 30 foot by 15 foot. Your house is going to need, if you need gutters on all four sides of your house is roughly going to need about 90 feet of gutters, because 15, 15, 30, 30. Yeah. So you would click on, 90 linear feet or whichever one, includes 90 linear feet for the ranges. And then you're going to be presented with the option of, okay, do you want gutter guards? And you can say yes or no to that. And if you say yes, it'll add a little bit. If you say no, it doesn't add anything at all. And then it'll spit you out your price and say, okay, you said that you were interested in this and this, and you didn't want gutter guards, so you can expect your price to be this. And it'll shoot you an email that has all of that, and it breaks it down, and it tells you like, hey, if you have any other questions, our office will reach out just to make sure that, all of your questions get answered, or to set you up an appointment if you'd like to. And it's that easy. You show up on the website, you fill out the form real quick. It'll ask for a little bit of your information just so that we can get a hold of you to answer those questions. And then boom, it's ready. And it's available on the website for, like I said, shingle roofing, metal roofing, gutters, siding, windows, and soon to be doors too.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. You can get really granular and selective with it, and it sounds like you did exactly that. But I also think I've heard this before where people shy away from estimators because they don't want to give the price and have people get the wrong impression. Like, oh, it's not accurate, but it's called an estimator. It's an estimate. It doesn't mean it's going to be, that's going to be the exact out the door price. It's just trying to give people a range, trying to educate people. And you know what's cool is when you click around in these estimators, you start to learn things. You start to go, oh, maybe I do want gutter guards. Oh, maybe I do need X amount of feet of gut. Like things that people would not normally think about that adds or takes away from the price and the overall cost of the project. It's a great way to get people excited about it, to build trust, to educate them. I mean, it's just all around a really cool tool. And it sounds like you keep iterating and evolving this as you're getting feedback from people, which I think is also critical. What made you guys be open to feedback? I think that's an important piece that also, like, sometimes it's not just to set it and forget it. Like, hey, let's just put this estimator on the site and then we're good. You need to get feedback from people that are using it and optimize it. So how did that play into how you're constantly iterating on it, and like what feedback have you gotten from people so far?
As a general rule, if we hear something once, okay, that's
Sure.
probably somebody's opinion,
Yep.
But especially with our sales team, being out and talking to our neighbors, all across East Central Indiana every single day, if they keep getting the same questions, the same comments, the same this or that, from multiple people over the course of, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, over the course of an entire year, if we're not answering the questions that they're asking, we're just going to keep getting those questions from more and more and more people. So what we've done is basically just we've implemented a meeting basically that happens between myself and Toyosi, the other half of our marketing, and the entire sales team. At least once a month, we all sit down together, and it's a time for marketing to show the sales team like what we're doing to make their job easier, but also to get feedback from them on those questions and the things that they're running into with homeowners, the pain points, the things that we can do to help make their job easier even further by answering the questions, by further refining things that are going on, including with the instant estimator, including with the content that we're putting out, just to make sure that our customers are getting the best information that we can give them.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love hearing that. And you guys have really bought into the endless customer mission, which is to educate and build trust and become the most known and trusted brand in your space. And I feel like you live and breathe that throughout the whole organization. How has that played into, so working with Impact, having your coaches, how have they helped sort of shape this mentality and make sure that like you are living and breathing it every day and that you're applying it to the content you make, to the estimators that you're putting out? Like, how does that play into your day to day?
I mean, honestly, it's just the mindset, just constantly being in that, okay, how can we improve? How can we be more known, more trusted? Brian Casey, our coach, has from the beginning has just really closely worked with us to make us stay in that mindset, to sit with it and to go, okay, this is good, but how can we be better?
Yeah, I love hearing that. Brian, shout out to Brian Casey. He's one of our senior coaches here at Impact. He's just a great all-around guy. I'm curious now, and I have to do this. I want to know. So you've had a couple iterations of the estimator. The latest one was within the last month or so. What results have you been seeing since implementing this and iterating on it? Like, what can we get some numbers? I'm curious just to share with our viewers and listeners out there as far as the success you're having from implementing this.
Yeah. So, I mean, on a small scale, and I mean, I can say smaller, however, with it on a small scale, the last 90 days on our website. So you guys introduced us to the tool, Microsoft Clarity. Shout out Microsoft, whatever else with it. But it's just a fantastic tool to be able to see like truly what's going on with your website and how people are interacting with it. And according to Clarity, in the last 90 days on our website, people have specifically viewed, gone to, clicked on that instant estimator for its like homepage where you view the instant estimator itself, people have been on it 199 times just in the last 90 days, basically this year. In the last 60 days, there's 146 of those sessions. So there were 53 sessions, give or take, in January-ish. In the last 25 days, since the 27th, when we launched the new estimator, there have been 93 sessions.
Oh, wow.
So 53 in January, 53 in February, and 93 in March.
Wow. That's a big jump. So once you had decent numbers going into it, but once you made the change, you basically doubled down on those numbers. So you're double in the last 30 days since you've made these updates to your estimator. Wow.
Right. And like I said, that's just traffic to the page where the instant estimator is posted, where it's found on our website. That's not anything else for all the impact that it's made to the rest of the website or to our social media or anything else, with that too. Just from a lead standpoint, because I know, yes, roofing business owners, whoever else out there, like, leads are what matter, right? Leads are how you get customers, whatever.
Absolutely.
And this is specifically just saying website leads, because we probably should separate out, our instant estimator leads, versus, everything else. But we see the overall success, from the website itself. In 2024, we had about 60 leads. And I say about 60 because we weren't the best at, keeping track of everything back in 2024. And we also changed CRMs that year too. So the numbers are a little weird.
Okay.
But we had
appreciate
about
your candor.
60.
We appreciate your candor. No, that's being honest. That's what this is all about, right? So you had about 60
Right.
that you are aware of in 2024.
Right.
Okay. And then
Yeah,
2025.
and that's website leads.
Okay.
In 2025, we had about 93. I can see 93 leads from the website, so a little bit better, in 2025. Year to date, so literally from January 1, 2026 to now, not even the end of the first quarter of 2026, we are already at 48 leads generated directly from our website.
That's amazing.
And those are ones that are in any stage, whether if they're just the lead that's come in, that's in the CRM period, or if, we've scheduled an appointment with them, we've gone out and given them an estimate, or we've done any sort of work with them with anything like that. They are in the CRM, they have turned into something for the business.
That is epic. Congratulations. That's huge. We're not even finished with Q1 yet, people, and you already are halfway to where you were last year, and it's only Q1. That sounds like it's going to be a banner year for you guys if you keep going the way it's going. That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of had this conversation a little bit before we started rolling, but
Yeah.
I'll say it again. I've had a goal in all of my meetings with Bob, and as what we wanted to get to with our marketing and everything for the last couple of years, to really keep our sales team busy, on their toes all the time. I had a goal of reaching 70 generated leads a week during peak season, because we understand, when it gets cold and everything, we're probably not going to hit that. But to average about 70 leads a week, per week through the roofing season. And in the past years, in a few weeks out of the year, we would get up to, 80 or 90 or, over 100 maybe. And that's if we got a big storm or, some big something happened that would, generate a lot of revenue for us,
Sure.
A lot of leads, a lot of work, a lot of everything for us.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, in the past few years, it might have happened, but in general, we've kind of fallen short of that goal of 70 leads a week average consistently. This year, we the last 3 or 4 weeks at least, we've been over 80 leads a week. Like we were over 90 leads a week when I ran our report on Monday this week.
Wow.
So something's working one way or the other.
I would say so. Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. Not only are the leads, up and flowing, the guys are starting to complain a little bit about how busy they are, which is also a very good thing. But this is also about the earliest in the year that we've gone over $1 million in revenue. And it's not even the end of Q1, like we said, right, Alex?
That's
So
amazing. No, that's amazing. Well, because you're not in peak season yet, so you wanted your goal that you had with your CEO Bob was, hey, let's get to 70, let's get to 70 a week, and you're already exceeding that, and you haven't even hit the season that you were expecting to be in. So you're well exceeding that, and that's just so exciting to hear. So I'm curious. You're saying that there's almost so much work that the team's like, oh my gosh, we can't keep up with it, which is a great problem to have. How has the estimator and what you're implementing, how has that affected the sales side of it? So are the leads that are coming in, are they more educated? Are they more qualified? Like, have you heard from the sales guys and sales team that like, hey, the conversations are just easy and I'm signing stuff like no problem? Like, is that true? Is that what's happening?
I mean, it goes back to that original question. The reason why we even started, thinking about what we could do with that led us to the estimator in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
People are searching, asking the question of like, okay, so what is this actually going to cost me? They're finding that answer on the instant estimator on our website, where they can get a rough price and they can figure out, that, hey, my project is going to cost me between this much and this much, it's so long as I live, here in Indiana, because
Right.
our service area, that's what our pricing is based off of.
Sure.
And so really what that's turned into is more qualified leads for our sales team, people that otherwise would have come to our website, not gotten all their questions answered, and then called the office and gone, hey, so what's this going to cost me? And then we go, well, we can have somebody come out and take a look, and they can get you an estimate. And, that's about the only good way we have to do that. In the past, that would have happened and they would have seen the estimate and gone, oh, yeah, I'm not ready for that yet. Whereas now they, can call into the office or, get here however they get here, to find us. We can say, hey, we actually have a wonderful tool for this on our website, and this isn't us pushing our website one way or the other. This is just us providing a tool to you. If you would just take a few minutes of your time, go to this site, go to our website, click the button that says get an instant estimate. You can get that idea. It means absolutely nothing to us. I know I've already talked to you, with everything. Or if you have any more questions, give us a call back, with everything. Mm-hmm. But those people can go on the website, get an idea of what their project is going to be, and then go, okay, I'm more ready for that than I thought I was. Or maybe we need to save for the next few months or, something like that. Like, yes, we do get a lot of people that call in that's, it's emergency, like, hey, we had shingles blow off and we need work done ASAP,
Right.
But for those people, especially for those customers where it's like, yeah, we're really just, we're getting ready to sell the house, or, we really just want something different, or, it's not really an emergency sort of situation for them. We've seen so many more situations where people are like, yeah, we checked out your website, we learned quite a bit, and we went, okay, let's do it, So not only are the leads coming in, more qualified, more prepared, more informed, and more ready to work with us, but they've also already had several touches, with us as a brand and as a company too. And so even though we are still proponents of the, like, especially if you're going to, run your project through insurance or anything else like that, like, yes, get multiple estimates, understand what you're getting, and go with the contractor that you trust the most. At the point where they're ready to choose the contractor they trust the most, I mean, are you going to go with the contractor that showed up, handed you a piece of paper that written in pencil or Sharpie, says, roof, Owens Corning shingle, $14,000, or are you going to go with the contractor that you called, explained, why they do what they do, gave you a tool that allowed you to understand how much it was going to cost in the first place, sent out one of their representatives who gave you an estimate like everybody else, but also explained to you why their estimate was the way it was, gave you an estimate that breaks down every single piece that we're going to use for your roof and why it's important and what it, and how that plays into your estimate. Which one would you choose? Like,
it's a no-brainer.
Why we've,
it's a no-brainer.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we've ended up doing what we're doing and why we are where we are, is because we took that chance to step out and answer the questions that people were asking and be honest about our pricing, to tell people like, hey, this is what it costs and here's why.
Right. Not to mention all the other content and social and video and written and all the other things that you're doing as well to help build trust. And I think that's the silver lining here that people should take away, at least in my opinion, is that if you want to become the most owned and trusted brand, you have to put yourself out there. You have to talk about pricing. You have to educate people because that's what they want. They're going to figure it out one way or another, and it better be from you and not from your competition. And when you do that, look at what happens. You get amazing results, and it's only Q1. I can't wait to see how the rest of the year shapes up for you, Adam. That's just epic. So cool.
I had one of those cool moments the other day too, because I was manning the office phone for a little bit while both of our office girls were in another meeting, out doing their own thing. And I got one call the entire time that I had the phone. And it was from a gentleman down in like the Central Florida sort of area. And he called and, when you see the number ring in and it says Florida, as an Indiana roofer, it's like, okay, what's this going to mean for us? It's probably another spam call, right? Pick up, answer it anyway, just like, hi, this is Adam with Hoel Roofing. What can I do for you? And he goes, so I was actually on your YouTube watching this video. Well, he actually started with, is Tanner available? Because Tanner was the sales guy who was the subject matter expert for the video that he watched.
Okay.
Anyway, but he goes, I was on your YouTube watching this video and I just had questions because we're down here in Florida and I have a couple of estimates from other roofers. And I just want to know if like Owens Corning are good shingles because I've seen, that they've had a couple of, like class action lawsuits and a couple other things. And like, I don't know, it just seems like you guys know a lot about it. And I just wanted to ask some questions if that's fine. And I was like, hold on just a minute, muted it for a second. I went, oh my gosh, is this really happening now? Where people, from people from not even within our service area, are seeing our content and now they're like, yeah, these people know what they're talking about. Call, like,
yeah, these people
no.
in a completely different part of the country that can't really do business with you because they're not in your territory are still seeking out your honest advice and the knowledge that you have because of the content that you put out. Because frankly, it sounds like the people in their geographic region, they don't trust them or they don't really have the information that they clearly need to have, which is crazy. Wow.
Right. And I mean, the question he had was Owens Corning versus Tamco. And I was honest with him, was just like, hey, most of our suppliers up here don't even really carry Tamco. Like we have this much experience with it because it's just not up here. So I can't really tell you, one way or the other with it. But like, here's what I can tell you about Owens Corning, with our experience. And granted, like, this is in our climate up here too, but right, yeah, it was just a really cool, it was a cool interaction because it was like, no, this isn't going to turn into a lead unless this guy has rental properties up here or something, with all that. But like at the same time, like just taking a few minutes, just to answer those questions, to do that, like if that's not who we are, if we're not here to help people, then, why are we doing what we're doing,
Yes, preach. I hope everyone out there that's listening and watching this is taking notes right now from Adam here, dropping some truth bombs. Okay, last question for you here. This has been an awesome conversation. I'm so happy to hear how everything's been going for you and the team at Hoel Roofing. What would you say to people out there that are listening right now, watching right now, going like, I still don't know about pricing and if I should say anything, or I don't know if I'm going to put an estimator on my website. What would you tell the folks out there right now?
One of the hats that I wear here at Hoel Roofing is tech support. So when, things with technology go awry, the TV stops working, that sort of thing, I'm generally the one that pokes the buttons, goes into the settings, fixes it, that sort of thing. Yes, I did build and design the what we'll call the comprehensive estimator tool that's on the website now. However, if you're on the fence about even just getting started, about should I even put an instant estimator on my website sort of thing? The answer is definitely yes. And can you? Definitely yes. So I mentioned the first iteration of our instant estimator, was a roofing based one, started with metal, went to shingles. I didn't design that one. Our sales manager, Chris, did. He got in, and just because he knew roughly what we charge, what what makes sense price wise for us, and he could figure out the numbers to put in, for that to get the ranges to where they made sense, for people where, people would do the estimator and then they'd call us. And yes, that's still where we would fall, if we came out and gave or gave an estimate to them in person. Um, Chris is not tech support for our company for a reason. And I love him to dear. Like I love him dearly. He is a brother to me. And if you hear any chuckling, his office is through the wall behind me too, and he might be listening to me right now.
He's like, Adam, you better not be talking smack about me, bro.
I love Chris dearly, but if he could figure out how to, design this estimator, not even put it up on the website, just to design it, to put it together, to make it work enough that it went on the website the first time, you can do it. I mean, anybody listening here, like, unless technology short circuits around you for no apparent reason, you yourself can figure out priceguide.ai and get an instant estimator up on your website. It is very easy, it is very intuitive, and it works with you to make sure that you have what you need.
Yeah, that's really great advice, and I agree. And I also think too that there's something else you said in there that really stuck out to me. I think a lot of people overthink it. Hi, myself included. I'm a perfectionist. I want everything to be perfect. Putting an estimator out, even if it isn't perfect, is better than not having pricing on your website. And you can always iterate off of it and optimize it and make it better and get some feedback. But don't be an ostrich. Don't stick your head in the stand. Just go for it and see what happens. Because if you do, you might get some pretty incredible results like the team over at Hoel Roofing. So congratulations, Adam, and good on you for all that you've been doing over there.
Yeah. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah.
And like he said too, like, legitimately, if you're not answering the questions, that your customers are asking, who is?
Yeah. Who is? Probably your competition.
If you're not answering the questions, your competition's probably trying to answer the questions. And if they trust your competition more than you,
that's not a good look. Yeah. Well, Adam, great insights. Thank you so much for sharing this awesome story, sharing how everything's been going so far. It sounds like 2026 is going to be the best year ever for Hoel Roofing. And I couldn't be happier for you guys. So congrats again. And thank you for being on the show. It's great to see you.
Absolutely. It's been a good time.
Awesome. We'll have to have you back on again soon because I want to keep checking in with you and seeing how your journey goes with Endless Customers. But for now, this is our show. For everybody out there watching and listening, this is Endless Customers. I'm your host, Alex Winter, and we will see you on the next episode.